about necessarily it's not androcentrism. Okay, there's a difference between patriarchy, androcentrism, matriarchy, and gynocentrism. Gynocentrism is all authority and no responsibility. That's tyranny. Responsibility without authority is slavery. It's the complete opposite of that. And so when you look at gynocentrism and when you look at androcentrism, those are tyrannical systems, meaning that it's by men, for men, and fuck women and fuck men. Just depends on who's in power at the time. It's everything is for the imperative of one sex or the other sex. Patriarchy is different. Matriarchy is also different too. Okay, so patriarchy in this sense, I think the feminists have done a really good job conflating patriarchy with androcentrism. And what that means is, like, if you look at patriarchy was a balanced system. It was responsibility with a commensurate authority so that a man could be, and it's, by the way, it's like for the division of labor and for dimorphic, sexually dimorphic species like human beings, it's the most obvious, most balanced, most harmonious way to organize society is actually in patriarchy. Because as I said before, men and women are innate natural complements to one another, but men tend to be the more stronger. They tend to be more robust. They tend, we live shorter lives, of course, but it's the protector dynamic, and women being the vulnerable sex, men being the sacrificial sex. Eggs are expensive, sperm is cheap. That's why patriarchy works. And in an idealized state, patriarchy is a much more balanced state than androcentrism or gynocentrism. And what that means is that when you are the patriarch of your family, when you're the head of the household and you're the man, you have responsibilities. Masculine responsibilities that all tradcons talk about right now are all defined by patriarchy. You have responsibilities, and no one knows this better than, like, especially like old school Muslims right now. They have a responsibility to all their wives and all their kids, and to protect them, provide for them. And if they don't, then Allah gets really pissed off, right? And I 100% understand. I agree. The thing is that they have the authority to exercise that responsibility, to meet that responsibility. Whereas the way we do it right now in an egalitarian state, men don't have that. They have nothing but responsibility and no authority over it, because through different means, right? Through, like, we're going to make ambiguous sex. We're going to make ambiguous gender. We're going to make, it's all one. It's all blank slate. It's all socially constructed. It's all about just society and just what you think is, and there's 72 different genders, and now we're going to have trans and gay and this, like all that stuff. That only exists when everything is ambiguous, when everything is subjective and relative. In patriarchy, there are two fucking sexes, and that's it. And gender and sex are inseparable, and that is the God's honest, concrete, objective, realistic reality. There are two sexes, and those sexes are the genders. Break that cycle. You guys want to do something? Remember I told you guys, like, how you have to stop using their language. Part of that is this misguided concept that there is a division, a separation between gender and sex. Bullshit. In fact, I can prove it to you. There are characteristics, just using the four laws of genetic behaviorism. I can prove it wrong right there. There are qualities, there are aspects, genetic aspects that translate to gender, to our behaviors that we would describe as that gender. And sex and gender are inseparable. Period. You want to know why, like transgender athletes and stuff, like, feel like out of place and stuff? Because they still have the mind of the brain structure and architecture of a man, and they're trying to pretend that everybody's like enabling this, socially enabling this bullshit. They're socially enabling this stuff and pandering to this because they know that if they don't, then they're going to be ostracized for it. And they do no favors to those people. But the fact of the matter is they still have the architecture, the brain architecture of a male. They still have this cellular makeup and endorphins and endocrine system of a man. You're not going to break that. That's just not that. You're even the guy who's the most like weesh, thin, sissy ass dude is still a dude. Our brain architecture is still pretty close to being like a guy. And then for women who are even the masculine one, the most masculinized ones, their brain architecture is still an architecture of a woman. Seriously. And then for women who like, for men and women who have like, seriously sex dysmorphia or whatever it is, they have like both male and female, they're androsexual. Well, no, it's well, they're androgynous, but there's a word I'm looking for anyways, but they represent a fraction of a percentage, but yet we're going to make a society that caters to them. That right there should tell you how endemic this egalitarian, really communist, if you think about it, but like communitarian ideal is, which is the way that women organize societies in a communitarian way. If you want to do something, if you want to push back against that, first of all, you got to become the culture, write the culture, be the culture that you want to see, but stop using their language. And then second of all, whenever you see this, whenever you hear this, like, oh, well, sex is different from gender. Stop. No, it's not. The male gender and the male sex are the same fucking thing. Break that. If you crush that, like from the get-go, I was going to say, most wokesy kind of like gender studies bullshit is founded on that simple lie that gender and sex are separate. They're not. Well, one's a social construct. No, your entire ideology, your entire worldview is premised on social constructionism, and that's part of it. It does, and that ceases to. You want to attack that? Say sex and gender are the same thing. Period. I can show it to you. Here we go. Genetically, I can show it to you. Throw that at them. Most of them are not ready for that. And again, okay. So what was I asked like earlier? Somebody said, well, Rollo, don't you think that the root of all this is in academia? Yeah, it is. But that concept comes before academia, and then it's spread through academia. The idea that gender and sex are separated, and that that's how you get like birthing people. That's how it's not Father's Day, it's Special Persons Day. Yeah, I saw that already today too. No, you're my sons and my daughters too, all of you. And you're either one or the other. Choose now which one you will be.
Definitely worry about my sons more than I worry about my daughters.
Well, there's a lurking